why I joined CZ, CEO of Binance, and Sam Bankman-Fried, who is CEO or founder or both of FTX Exchange, Alameda Research, the exciting Serum and Solana, Serum Network, which is on Solana, and was also involved in Sushi Swap as well. So, to be clear, I haven't been asked, but would I accept being co-CEO of Binance and co-CEO of Alameda Research and FTX? So there's a difference between thinking bold and thinking unrealistically, because if you think too small, you'll never accomplish anything in life, because even if you accomplish your goals, it's meaningless. And if you just a pie in the sky person who believes in pipe dreams but don't take consistent, positive action towards your goals, and that's not going to get you anywhere either. The key is to be bold in the minds of others, but realistic in terms of what your capabilities are, what you have to leverage, and what you can accomplish in the present and future time. So I want to talk about why I would consider being CEOs with those two great individuals, CZ of Binance and Sam Bankman-Fried of FTX and Alameda Research, if offered. So it comes down to various elements of scale, and I'll explain what I mean. So CZ is a very astute, very astute business person. Not only does he understand innovation and product development, obviously, but he understands relationships. I mean, he's already invested in FTX. They bought Coin Market Cap. And he understands marketing, even just community building on Twitter and a bunch of other things. And he understands global. Sam also understands these things as well. Sam is very active on all the industry-leading podcasts and on Twitter. He's hyper laser focused on community development. He is an expert in product development. He's laser focused on that as well. Always come out with new features and very innovative features. And he recently had his own $150 billion investment as well. So he understands about scale. And they both have solid backgrounds as well, but the kind of scale I'm talking about is a little bit different. I mean, an extension, but several different aspects. So let me get into that. As a primer for CZ and Sam, not that they need it, but just kind of like tweaking their thinking a little bit in directions that they're probably already thinking about. So the first aspect of scale is actually physical size. Size of company, number of employees, product offerings. So what it is, like if you look at all the FANG companies that compete against each other, whether it be hardware, software, cloud, content, because increasingly we live in the world of convergence. Like all these different things are coming together. AI is coming together. Software was eating the world, but AI is eating the world. Robotics is eating the world. Voice is eating the world. Internet of Things is eating the world. Blockchain is eating the world. Robotics, nanotechnology, space travel. So all these different things are coming together because you can't, for example, like you can't be in healthcare or education or finance unless you understand, AI and, the impacts of blockchains. And, Amazon is also a robotics company. And, Uber is actually a AI logistics company. And so all these forces are coming together. So in order to compete, it's not just the Binance has to compete against BitMEX and Coinbase. They have to compete against JP Morgan. They have to compete against the U.S. government and, the digital currencies. They have to compete against the digital yuan. So how are you going to compete with China? How are you going to compete? How are you going to compete with JP Morgan? How are you going to compete with Bank of America? How are you going to compete with IBM, who's also big in blockchain? How are you going to compete with perhaps even Bitcoin and Ethereum themselves? So, I mean, a lot of these things are complementary. I'm not saying it's, total competition. There's a lot of, collaboration and cooperation and utilization as well. But you have to think, on a global scale. And Sam, like when he went to Singapore, he formed a lot of contacts that he problem solved about how to, get into this exchange and that exchange and local currencies and lawyers and, the global network of Binance is extremely impressive. But you have to be thinking more and more in terms of like how you utilize global operations in a way that's going to be like Binance rolled up. He didn't roll up, but eventually they might roll up FTX if there's a merger. But they might need to roll up BitMEX. They might need to roll up all the other exchanges just to be able to compete with a JP Morgan. So it's an order or two of scale and magnitude of thinking that's much bigger. I mean, they might need to ramp up to 100,000 employees. Probably not 100,000, because like Facebook, they only have a small number of employees compared to Walmart because each employee makes much more money. So, Binance and FTX together with 10,000 employees, they might be able to compete with IBM. I don't know how many IBM has, but probably over 100,000. But, just because if your technology is better and your business model is better, then you could usually compete with a lot less employees, but you still need, a significant number. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that, like, I'm an expert in convergence. That's why my company is called Exponentials, and that's why it utilizes different converging technologies. It uses AI, it uses blockchain, it uses others. Now, it's not just to use them, because some people just like to hang on a shingle and say, I could do this, I could do that. It's only for like, what are the use cases? What are the customers? What do they want? What are the pain points? What are the solutions? So it's not good to be like a solution in search of a problem. The key is to start with the problem and then see what are the technologies that need to go. So the reason why Sam and CZ are going to be knocking on my door and others is they need a whole team of people that are expert in AI. They need a whole team of people that are expert in robotics. They need a whole team of people, obviously a very large team, that are expert in blockchain. They need people that are expert in e-commerce. They need people that are expert in, eventually Internet of Things. So the list goes on. Like what happens is industries get blindsided because they're too narrow. See, what happens is healthcare companies, boom, 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 they're raising rates 20% a year, year after year, no end in sight. And then boom, AI comes along and blindsides them. Voice, like Alexa is becoming like a personal doctor. Amazon's getting into healthcare. And there's a lot of things called like effective computing where Alexa, not only with sensors, but it could tell even from your voice whether you're sick or not based upon your baseline and a bunch of other factors. Then when it starts scanning your face and other things like that, because Amazon's also big in facial recognition, Alexa is going to replace your doctor before too many years. So if you're not aware of all these different convergences, then you're basically, out of business. So I think Sam, and CZ, like buying CoinMarketCap is big, but it's small because it's in the same industry that you're in. You need to buy eventually a robotics company. You need to buy definitely first an AI company. You can't just stay in blockchain. You can't just stay in crypto and be big. Like I look at like other companies like Digital Currency Group and Barry Silver. There's a bunch of others that are just like hyper focused on the crypto space. You have to do that's good, because you could be like big, like a Coinbase or, a Circle or, some other big, crypto company. But, this is the big leagues, like Barry Silver is another example. Like they have Grayscale, they're competing against gold. They're competing, they have a huge amount of assets under management. That's the direction that you need to be thinking. You need to be thinking not that you're in the crypto space, but that you're in the financial space. I mean, you need to be able to compete against Square. You need to be able to compete against PayPal, which is also getting into crypto, and Square is big in crypto. You need to be able to compete against Robinhood. Sam Bankman-Fried, CZ Binance, how much you going to pay me and how much you going to pay other people? I mean, you are way behind the curve.